Hi, welcome back to Let's Talk IT Careers. This is episode 11, and the title is Data Confidentiality. My name is Tim Warner. What do I want to talk about? Well, I want to obviously talk about data, specifically your data, or let me remove these headphones. I don't actually need to monitor my voice through them. It's better just hearing it in the air. But in this slide I've labeled as Sacred Trust. This really, in a nutshell, outlines my philosophy towards client/customer data. I'll give you a quick example. A couple weeks ago, my daughter's second grade teacher ran into some problems with her computer, both her laptop, her own computer, as well as her desktop at her school. Well, I'm more than happy to give back in any way I can because she and the other teachers at this elementary school totally give their all. Well, it's obviously a little awkward for some, not everybody, when they're handing over a computer, especially if they're doing so to somebody that they don't know all that too well, because there's the idea, well, I have some personal stuff on there, and is the technician going to snoop? I always err on the side of being verbose. I make sure to say, really probably don't need to say this, but let me say it anyway. I respect your privacy and I respect your data. And the work I do is going to be purely and simply to solve your problem. I want you to understand that. And that works really well because unfortunately, I've seen in my career, I've worked as a PC bench technician, as an enterprise technician. I've taught thousands, really, of IT people, and a small sliver of them have confessed to me that they have snooped on customers' computers that were brought into their shops for repair. In fact, here in Nashville, we obviously have a lot of high-profile people, and I remember one person thinking that I would be impressed. I believe I was interviewing him for a job, believe it or not. And he told me that a country star came in and a lot of her personal photos and movies were on the computer, and it really turned my stomach. So if you are an aspiring PC technician, take the notion or take the principle of customer data confidentiality very seriously. To the point where, honestly, I I don't see a problem myself if a client were to come to me. Actually, they do. In my work as a cloud solutions architect, oftentimes I'll be asked to sign a non-disclosure agreement. This is a legally enforceable binding contract that states that I will keep any proprietary information that they share with me private and not tell anybody, period. In fact, when I'm working with clients, I will volunteer. I'm happy to sign an NDA because why wouldn't I? You know what I mean? The NDA protects both parties, but certainly the customer, the person with the intellectual property that they don't want to be lost or put into the wrong hands, an NDA is at least some means of enforcing their IP. So I have no problem with that. And I was thinking last night, if as a consumer, if I would ask a repair shop to sign an NDA, let's say I had my laptop, just hardware failure, it's all hosed up. Actually, last night, one of my wife's and my friends sent me a text message of an external hard drive, a USB drive, and the USB connector literally broke off the circuit board, the main board of the device. And she wondered what to do, and I'm thinking, wow, well, if it hasn't been too long, you could contact the manufacturer. And she said, oh, it's been like 8 or 9 years. There's no warranty recourse. And so we were batting around some ideas about soldering the connector back onto the PCB, the printed circuit board. But where was I going with this? Oh, I remember my point, by the way. It was that if I were in her case and I had a hard drive like that and I brought it into a shop, I wouldn't have a problem with saying, before you take this drive for service, I have a non-disclosure that I'd like you to sign. Because once again, I mean, I need to protect myself. I don't have anything on my drives that's necessarily embarrassing, although maybe I do. Maybe I've made some goofy faces and sent those pictures to my wife or whatever. But there's nothing wrong with protecting intellectual property, whatever form that might be. Anyway, the second part of this lesson, if you want to call it a lesson, it's just me sharing, is work personal data mixing. And in my experience, don't do it. It's very easy, I know from bitter experience, to mix personal activities with my work email and work activities with my personal email. By and large, I suggest keeping a firm partition between the two because it's possible to have some bad things happen. I mean, first of all, you have to understand that in any business, the information technology resources at that business are subject to either an explicit acceptable use policy or an implicit one. Many enterprise businesses, as part of your onboarding paperwork with human resources, you'll have to actually review this is the acceptable use policy of our network, and you have to sign and date that. Remember that all the IT assets do belong to the company, and if you're an old school gamer, all your bases belong to us. But this means that your email isn't yours. It's not your email mailbox. You're using the company's resources, and they can peruse that data at their whim, really. I certainly hope they wouldn't. But I did have a bad case early in my career where I was forwarding my home email to my work address, and I learned that one of the higher-ups at this particular business was actively reading my work mail, and by definition, reading my personal mail. That was awkward and uncomfortable, to say the least. So once again, notes from the field, I would suggest strongly you separate your work and your personal communications with different accounts, and unless absolutely you have to make an exception, never the twain shall meet. Okay. All right. If you want to reach me for any reason, leave comments, and if you're watching this in YouTube. Otherwise, if it's an audio podcast, let me tell you my contact details. Twitter, I'm at TechTrainerTim. My website is techtrainertim.com, and you can find my training work at pluralsight.com. That's what I do most of the time. So, I hope that you got a lot out of this episode, and I will see you later. Thanks.